Welcome everyone to Filmoir episode 1, the first official episode after episode 0. Today we have again 3 of us, me, Faris. On my left side here it's
Robin.
And on my right side is
Me.
You being
Me. It's Mats.
bro, literally. And yeah, today, as we discussed in the previous episode, we were gonna watch 3 movies that each of us suggested. And then we're gonna have our own opinions on it, what we thought of the movie, what we thought worked, what we thought didn't work, if we generally think it's a good one or not a good one. And yeah, the interesting thing here is that all of us have different background in a film and the way we approach film, so it should be interesting to discuss these things from different perspectives, hopefully. Could also be boring as all hell, but let's hope it doesn't become that.
Yeah, we're aiming for the interesting.
The interesting part.
Bro, don't listen to this podcast, it's boring.
Preferably, yeah.
I'm already sleeping.
Bro, I sleep.
It's that type of podcast.
Yeah. So,
What do we start with?
well, we can start with my suggestion.
Yeah, what did you choose?
Or actually, no, I want to do my second at least.
Second, okay.
Someone else's has to be first, so you guys.
I mean, I could go first with mine.
Okay, go
Nice.
ahead.
So I recommended the 1998 movie A Bug's Life. I believe it's directed by John Lasseter. It's the second feature film from Pixar. And I'm thinking, by the way, just as a kind of structure to this podcast a little, when talking about the movies, I think that we should kind of establish not only what the movie is, but also what its plot is, just really quickly.
But
And,
also explain why you chose the movie.
yeah, okay. I'm just gonna go through the plot first. So basically, it's a movie about an ant who wants to kind of save his ant world, I guess, or his ant country? Colony?
Yeah, that's...
Republic of Ant.
Bro,
Yeah.
what the fuck is a colony?
The Citadel of
Anyway.
Ants.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah, he's basically the Free Republic of Ants have been threatened by the grasshoppers and need to provide a ridiculous amount of food apparently to the grasshoppers. And our fellow ant, who I don't remember even his name honestly.
Bro, call him Jordan.
Yeah, okay. So Jordy wants to
No.
So Jordy wants to help the situation by going out and finding some warriors. And he returns with a bunch of circus performers.
Bugs.
Bugs.
Literally.
Everyone is bugs, just so that it's mentioned. I mean, they have to defend themselves from the grasshoppers. And just gonna start off by asking, what did you guys roughly think?
Oh, you want to do the honors, Robin?
Oh, I can do the honors.
Please.
Well, the movie is interesting to me. It's one of the more forgettable Pixar movies I've seen. Not in a bad sense that the movie is bad, but I guess it doesn't have anything special or unique to it. But it's still a fun movie. Like, it has its moments. I don't feel like there's much more to comment on it. Otherwise, the animation it's still pretty impressive for today's standard, I guess.
Yes, and what do you think, Faris?
I don't know. I liked the movie. It was definitely, you can see that this was early 3D animation, that it was, still developing itself as a genre. Animation overall is actually pretty fluid and good, so not because of that, but you can see that the structure is a bit, things happen and it's a cool adventure story. There's lessons to be learned, but again, it's a bit forgettable. It's a bit whatever. Things just sort of occur, but I did like the movie. It's very charming. The thing is, they're all ants and they kind of look similar. Like, I don't think they did enough to the main character to distinguish him. So yeah, I also don't remember Jordan's name. And so yeah, it's a forgettable movie for me, but definitely something that it's also enjoyable to watch when you're there watching it.
Yeah. So just to quickly mention why I recommended this one. So I've kind of been trying to watch all of the Pixar movies, and A Bug's Life is like one of those that just aren't mentioned a lot.
Yeah, it exists, really.
Yeah,
It's
like
something else.
Like, I've heard more people talk about Brave than I've heard people talk about A Bug's Life, and I kind of wanted also to talk about the earlier Pixar movies, but I didn't want to go with Toy Story, because it's like, it is an important movie, but I feel like it does get a bit too much attention sometimes.
It's a real-life cliche when speaking of Pixar.
Yeah.
Always Toy Story.
So I wanted to talk about A Bug's Life because I really didn't know what it was going to be like, and I also wanted a bit of a safe start, not for the podcast, but for you guys. Like, I might be recommending some harder hitting stuff, so
Yeah.
I don't want to scare you guys off.
You want to lure us in instead. So we can't say no after.
So remember the movies you've shown me. It's everything but A Bug's Life.
Remember Bug's Life? That was heaven, bro. We're about to watch some shit.
It is literally heaven for what else Mats has done to me. But
but you've seen the movie before you recommended it, before we did this whole thing, right? You saw the...
I've seen it probably when I was younger.
Okay.
But it's nothing that I've like seen like the 10 years before.
Yeah,
isn't that the problem when you say probably seen it? Like, you don't even remember seeing it.
No, the only part that I actually remember having seen is actually like the grasshoppers when they first appear, which is a really cool scene in itself, actually.
When they burst in, or when they
burst in, and it's almost like a monster scene, you know.
Where's the food? They come through the ceiling and start attacking kids.
Oh yeah, I love that.
So, but I mean, I love that scene for many reasons other than it being a horror movie. The attention to detail in that scene, in the background, all the ants looks different. You could have easily copy-pasted that, but they made different ants and had different reactions.
I don't think you could have if you're serious about animation.
If you are serious, I mean, in the early stages, I feel like it would have been way easier to just copy-paste.
It looks silly, bro.
Yeah, it looks...
I don't think that's something...
Pixar has another standard.
Yeah, they're aiming something with something else.
I think
where the movie... It definitely shows its I don't know if it's age, but definitely inexperiences. Like, I remember the circus scene, which is useful for establishing the whole gang of people, but it just dragged on. Like, it kept like being about these circus players and different acts they do and they fail, and like, nah, bro. I mean, we gotta move on. I have a feeling they tried to just fill in the runtime.
Yeah,
with all those things. I mean, undoubtedly they look cool, but I don't care. I was just waiting for the whole thing to be over. Like, what are we doing? We're watching bugs in a circus. I didn't care for that part much. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
I definitely think that the circus is one of the weaker parts. I also wanted to say it's kind of interesting when you think about this movie in terms of its water, like how it uses water. Because if you look into the scene when he fucks up all of the food for the grasshoppers and they all fall into the water, you can just see that they just disappear. Like, the water is just a surface, you know.
Yeah, it's a cover.
Yeah, and then they just like add in some dripping effects onto the water surface.
Free green screen dripping.
But the thing that I actually really like about the use of water in this movie, considering that they are bugs, you know, really small, they could instead use water in terms of like drops, which I thought was really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's easier to make the water graphics look good through that sort of method.
Because I believe that the first movie they made where the water was more perfected was actually Finding Nemo. And that movie is from 2001.
Yeah.
No, 2003. Sorry. Monsters, Inc. is from 2001.
By the way, Matt is our time machine when it comes to age and time for movies, so that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bug's Life.
Yeah. Robin was born in like 2011, I believe.
Pretty recently.
Yeah.
Still in the diapers. Yeah, anyways, anything else you wanted us to see from this movie?
I mean, there's one thing that I've noticed when reading about what people think about this movie. There are certainly a lot of people who have interpretations of this being anti-capitalist.
Mm-hmm.
In what way? Please explain. I'm confused.
I mean, I guess it's more like I think it becomes more apparent when you compare it to something like old Soviet movies. In terms of like the grasshoppers are clearly or not clearly, but you can interpret them as being kind of the capitalists, the capitalists who are reliant on the workers to provide to them.
Yeah.
And they clearly control them through fear.
Yeah, I think the first association I got was something similar to that. That was more so to do with colonialism and slavery, which is sort of similar to the capitalism. It's just less or more. How should I say it? Harsh. But I definitely noticed that, like because the ants didn't see their own potential. They were simply agreeing to be enslaved, and then it just sort of became the mentality that okay, we're enslaved, therefore we have to do this. I'm not saying slavery is that. But I'm definitely saying that it has some similarities with like the history of slavery, and maybe the whole how would I put this delicately? But I think it's more so to do with capitalism, the working thing. But I did notice some things to do with slavery, like the whole colony idea of a colony, and working for somebody. Stuff like that. Even though it's your land, it's your colony, but you still collect things for someone else because they're gonna protect you somewhat, but they're not. They're just there because they can use you.
Yeah,
I think that was a parallel that I first saw when it first came through my mind.
Yeah, I don't know if this is symbolism in terms of capitalism or power or that much, but I noticed that there was also a lot of foot shots from the grasshoppers, where it focused on their feet, which I also want to comment. Like this feels like it was also directed by someone kind of similar to Quentin Tarantino in a way. Perhaps there was a bit of a foot fetish, but.
With bugs.
That grasshopper feet gets me every time.
I mean, if it was to be that, I mean, it's definitely a theory.
Yeah.
What's the theory?
The foot thing.
Oh yeah. Well, if the foot thing is also symbolism for like stepping down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I also was. Although I just wasn't sure if that was symbolism. But
it could be. I think in much of the communist propaganda back in the day, or any sort of workforce propaganda.
Yeah.
There used to be a lot of boots stepping on citizens or ideals or whatever.
I know that the fist was symbolism.
Definitely, yeah. But I guess they don't have fists though, so maybe this is
feet.
The closest thing to fist. Yeah, I did notice some parallels. I think the one with slavery, when I mentioned it, it kind of became weak because you can't really say that people who were enslaved because they didn't see their potential. That's kind of just messed up to say.
Yeah.
But I think there's parallels. I think I explained it well. Probably some other things you can derive from. But again, if you go away from the slavery thing, you can say that it is about realizing your own potential and not working for somebody just because of fear of, something that's not tangible at all. But that you should actually take things in your hands. That you should see your potential. There's a lot of, for example, there's a lot of ants. They can probably fight off the grasshoppers, but they don't realize it. They just have this mentality of we got to do it because. Yeah, that's also something I noticed, I guess.
I mean, I don't want to break in,
But you are gonna do it.
But I'm gonna do that. But I noticed something myself, which isn't colonism or slavery or anything like that. But I straight up thought of people refusing to advance technology.
Yeah, I definitely saw. Yeah, that mentality of hating change in progress.
You just want to stay in the old, safe, cozy home.
Yeah.
Well, this dude is literally making a telescope out of nothing, like a teardrop in a.
Yeah, that's definitely like the idea of that science and reason are the drivers of progress versus mindless tradition, which will always keep you back.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not a groundbreaking ideal. I think every modern movie is like that. But yeah, I did notice that too. And another interesting thing is that the protagonist he is clumsy and he kept failing with his inventions. But the idea is that even if you keep failing, you have to do that in order to eventually succeed. Because it will eventually lead you to success. But if you keep doing what you're doing, it will never lead you to success.
Exactly.
So it was. Yeah, I did notice that too.
It's a bit of back and forth in this movie about a lot of things, I feel like.
I mean, if you think that Ants or Ants, the DreamWorks movie, or the this one Bugs Life, or movie about ants is about literal ants, I think you're in the wrong field.
Yeah.
I think you're way off. Like, there's no way. Like Ratatouille, I mentioned when we watched Ratatouille a while ago.
Yeah.
That's not a movie about a rat making food. But no way.
No way. There's obviously
somebody wanted to tell you something with it that you should. That's how I see fantasy as well. I actually know some people who can't do that. Like, I tell them, in Harry Potter, the scar is a metaphor for this.
Yeah.
They're like, nah, bro, the scar is just a scar. Okay.
It's literally
literally a mark, bro. But I think people are really doing themselves a disservice by literally taking things. And I think they need to start not doing that. Also, please turn off your Snapchat.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn off the notifications and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but the movie. It's a fun watch, really.
Yeah, it's a good movie, but it's not. I don't really have much more to say about this movie. I guess like the comedy didn't hit me that well. I felt like the stick bug. The first introduction to the stick bug was funny, but like all the other jokes eventually were like so repetitive.
That's actually a thing I thought of. They never developed the stick thing.
No.
Which is actually a criticism for me.
What are you guys talking about? What's
there's a stick animal, right? He's a stick.
Stick bug.
Oh, the stick guy,
bug. Yeah. And this is actually a criticism. They never developed him to be more than a stick. Like, the joke was always, he's a stick.
Yeah, he do be a stick, though.
Yeah. He was one of the characters.
No, I agree that the comedy did not work for me at all. It was way too odd. But I think, again, I would blame this on the technology. They were probably just experimenting with how do you time things properly.
But it's also early Pixar movies.
Yeah, but that doesn't excuse a poor script. I think it was just they didn't know how to time things correctly.
I don't think personally Toy Story 1 even is a particularly good movie.
Good movie or funny movie?
I think it's a decent movie. It's not. I don't haha when I see it.
Well, that means it's not funny.
It's not funny. No, but they have humor in it.
Okay.
Right.
But is it good?
It doesn't land.
Okay.
Right. So I just believe it's under a development thing. Like, they figure out more stuff. I think Finding Nemo and Monsters Incorporated managed to do that better.
All right.
I mean, honestly, I don't have much more to say about it, unless you guys have more to say about A Bug's Life.
No, not really.
Not really, no.
Pretty,
satisfied.
Perhaps I should recommend The Ants next.
No, bro.
Next week.
Ants, bro.
We're gonna do Bugs movies.
Literally from 1998 also. I think,
yeah, they have competition or something.
No, they stole the script.
Yeah, they stole
I think they legitimately like one of the founders of DreamWorks was actually formerly working in Disney.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Katzenberg.
So he just yeeted that script and made the movie. I think it came out before Bug's Life, like a couple of months.
Perhaps. So, I think he kept contact with Disney at least after developing founding DreamWorks.
Yeah, it was a weird scenario. But did you watch Ants as well?
No.
Oh, okay. I do wonder which one of the Bugs epics is better. But yeah, we can continue on with movies.
Yours number second.
Mine is second.
Yeah.
And I think it's also fitting because this one is it's made by, is it Warner Brothers and MGM, I think. But it's also, like, I think Square Enix is involved, of course, because it's their franchise. And I think it's interesting to say this because Square Enix, I believe, tried 3D animation as well. Way back in the day when Pixar was starting, they tried to make a Final Fantasy movie. And they did it, but it wasn't really successful, so then they have to shut down the whole thing.
But the question is, what movie are you talking about?
Talk about Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider 2018.
Oh boy, this is
Yeah,
it's a good one.
The reason I recommended this movie is because if you look at Pixar, for example, the Mats' movie, it was made because somebody wanted to make the movie. It was someone's idea. Let's do something with bugs. Let's make a story about it. Let's have fun with it. But Tomb Raider seems to me like a movie that was made because it was a necessity. It was like a demand. We need this movie, but not for the right reasons. We just need it to exist, to sell things, to market things, to cater to the people, maybe to sell more copies of the game or whatever. But I didn't feel the necessity of this movie existing in a sense that there was heart in it. There was people who actually wanted to create this. But I wanted to recommend it to see if that's actually true and if people can actually, like, let's just hypothetically say that I become a director in the future. And what would I do if somebody gives me like a random video game movie that I have to make in order to prove myself? Like, can I actually put soul? Can you find soul in those things? Or is it just going to be a mindless, bland, boring movie that's probably going to sell decently, but it's not going to represent anything. It's not going to be memorable. And yeah, that was my goal. My goal was to see these movies that exist that are like Tomb Raider, Uncharted, Alvin and the Chipmunks, whatever, all this like Smurfs the movie, etc. Like, how do these movies feel? And it was just an interesting thing to discuss, I think. And like, you sit down and watch this. What do you get from it?
Yeah. So, I mean, just to give my quick thoughts on it. I did not like this movie.
Yeah, I actually, because you said we should mention the plot as well.
Oh yeah.
I actually barely I remember the plot, but it's basically Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, just with the female lead. I mean, it's pretty much that.
You really gotta explain what that movie is. What the plot of that movie is.
It's an adventure movie to find a lost ark, literally. It's not lost, but it's a chest in which a Japanese queen of death is laying. And then you have people who believe it's a curse, and you have people who believe it's gonna bring immeasurable gold. Of course, it's more complicated than that, but the gist of it is that it's an adventure movie about discovering this, and there's also some personal things with Lara Croft and her father, who was also an adventurer, but who was lost on the island, and then she finds him again, etc., etc. But yeah, that's basically it. It's an adventure movie. Yeah, and now you can continue.
So as I've already said, I really didn't like this movie. Like, I remember when watching this movie, and I remember when we got to the part where she was traveling with a boat, and I started asking myself, okay, at what point was Lara Croft established to be adventurous in the way that she wants to leave her own country to explore whatever? And I continued asking that question, like, when was it established that she was good with a bow and arrow?
Yeah.
Like,
it was established, actually.
Yeah, it was established when she was a child, but, we didn't really get to see much of her skills back then. We never really were established that she continued with bow and arrow in any way. It was just vague, is my problem.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to say something?
Man. I saw it the first day I saw it, at least. I remember thinking, what is this? Throughout the whole movie, I was thinking, what am I looking at? And I think a huge part of the problem is it feels inconsistent in its characters. And man, I just want to say this also. I think the actors in the movie are really good, like actually good.
Yeah,
that they're talent got wasted in such a bad way.
Yeah.
Especially the villain. I feel like he could be such a good villain. And for me, he saved the movie. I'm going to put that in quotations. Because he is introduced as such a cold-blooded, cool guy. But then he just turns out to be a prick, really. Like, he has nothing else to offer. That is what happens with a lot of the characters, especially the father, Lara Croft herself, the guy she borrows the boat with, like, travels with.
Yeah.
He just dips halfway through the movie. Like, what is this?
Yeah, and he waits for him in front of the cave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Forever, and he doesn't have anything to do with the plot.
You told me that this movie was directed by the same guy who directed one of the Norwegian...
Oh, yeah.
But again, The Wave.
The Wave.
Yeah, this is directed by Roar Uthaug.
Yeah, that person. I watched that movie, The Wave, 2 times actually, but I was forced to in school.
Oh, yeah.
How?
And,
How are you forced?
Come on, class.
I mean,
I was
also, it's, from what I understand, it's very popular with geography teachers, which I can understand.
It was a geography thing, and I think later, it was geography, and also I was in the introduction thing to Norwegian and stuff. But in any case, I can definitely see that it's the same boring cast. like the thing is, it's like there's some interesting shots, but it's this level of special effects and green screen that is almost good, but it's actually cheeks. Like it's actually bad. Like I remember there was this last scene of a helicopter flying from the island. Like you can see that that's not happening. Like that's a helicopter with completely different lighting compared to the island, and the helicopter is just subtly waving in the air like it's on a machine.
I mean, I remember you also complaining about the sea trip on the boat. Like it looked fake. You said.
It looked fake to me because you can clearly see the boat is just going up and down on something random, and then
it doesn't follow anything.
It doesn't follow the actual wave thing,
Yeah.
and I think it's the director to blame because his only movie, or like the movie before, I guess, is The Wave.
Yeah.
Which is also just like there's this big wave at the end, which whatever it's like I don't know.
It's a reference.
Yeah, shit, it's a reference. I don't know. For me, it was an extremely boring movie. I was like, I remember I was watching it with Robin. It was the second time for him. It was first time for me. I just remember. So the last thing that happens, like I think Tomb Raider appears, like the logo appears, and just the expression on my face was like, what? What have I just watched? Like it was such immense disappointment. I can remember the feeling that I felt. It's just that weird, and that's the thing. It's a movie that clearly doesn't have heart in it, and I'll go more into it later. But yeah, that's my take on it for now.
Yeah, there are certain elements that I feel like I could just take apart. Why I didn't like it. There are certain scenes which really just annoyed me, like the early bicycling scene was really just annoying to me. Because whenever there are certain scenes like that, where they establish that the main character is like kind of sly or good at a certain talent, while also putting tricks or whatever against their opponents, usually you follow it along with a shortcut of that affecting them, But in this movie, it's just like she bicycles through restaurants and like open spaces and whatever, and then they just follow along.
Yeah,
and it's like it's the most boring like bike chase scene I've seen for a while because there was no satisfaction to it.
Yeah.
Perhaps when she goes on the back of a truck, perhaps there's some satisfaction there, but it was just so pointless.
I also remember them establishing a character.
Oh yeah.
The love. I thought it was gonna be the love interest.
Yeah.
It was the guy who was trying to approach her, and then nothing happens, but he just disappears like dips.
I was gonna mention that also. Like there are so many characters. There, I think about 3 characters they established pretty early on.
Oh yeah, the ones in the boxing scene and all that.
Yeah. Oh no, I forgot about those. I guess 5. I was gonna bring up the 2 bicycle guys that she talked about.
Yeah, the gang.
Like none of them appear ever again in the movie.
Who are they?
I'm assuming they're setting up for a sequel, but even then, it's so unsatisfactory.
I mean, the movie setting up for a sequel, I felt like that alone was a bad idea.
But what sequel? It's based on a video game. It's based on the video game, like the Tomb Raider video game.
I mean, movies have the luxury of creating sequels, so why wouldn't they create a hype?
But I'm thinking if they're gonna... Because the Tomb Raider game has a sequel.
Yeah.
So they would probably just make the sequel.
Yeah.
Why would they set up pointless things that probably weren't in... I haven't played the game, though, so I don't know if that was in the game, but... Why would you set up a separate thing if you're blindly following the game? And this is something I also wanted to discuss, blindly following the game. Like, you can clearly see that they looked at gameplay and they said, let's just remake this.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the plane scene and the climbing the mountain scene.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally the video game.
Yeah.
Nothing to it. And, like, do you think this looks impressive? Like, do you think you're cool by, instead of it being animated now, it's... Like, nobody cares. If it's a video game... It has its own weight, it has its own reasoning to be that. You have adrenaline when you play it, it's a different feel. When I watch a movie, I don't want to see somebody like, like climb up a mountain. Like, bro, I don't care.
But also, let's speak about the convenience throughout the movie.
Yeah, how everything just... Yeah.
Isn't like everything happens perfectly for Lara
Like, shit,
Croft.
there's a plane here. Good.
I guess I gotta be inside it now.
Yeah, I just have to, like, perfectly match my...
And she also nearly dies a couple of times. Problem there is we know she's not gonna die.
Yeah.
Right? So we're putting her in this awkward situation. We know she's not gonna die, and nothing happens for it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no real consequence of it, other than she probably met that henchman dude in the woods.
Yeah, because, like, if it was a video game, you would be scared of losing a life.
Yeah, you could actually die in
Yeah,
the game.
restarting progress and all that. But here, like Tomb Raider... It's Lara Croft. She's not gonna die.
She's not gonna die.
There's nothing... Like, why do I care about her jumping around a metal box, a.k.a. the plane? Or whatever.
There's no real consequence, so...
It was just completely unnecessary. Like, I actually saw a comparison once. There are scene-by-scene recreations, like frame-by-frame recreations of the things that happen in the game. Like certain scenes, action scenes in the jungle. Why? Like, the thing is, Tomb Raider, especially the reboot, it's probably like a really good game. It's probably like, you know, whatever, it's standards, it's all that. But like, it's not hype. It's not hype enough for you to create a movie about those scenes specifically. Like in the Sonic movie, for example. If Sonic turns Super Sonic, that's the shits, bro.
That would be hype, yeah.
That's hype. But if Lara takes a gun or something, nobody cares, bro. Or if she perfectly jumps on the plane just as she did in the 2018 game, like, who cares?
Shoots a bow and arrow.
Wow, maybe there's an audience for that. Actually, I shouldn't probably.
I mean, we shouldn't shit on it too.
But
much.
it's just like I don't feel like it deserves that.
No,
it's stupid. If it's a movie, do your own thing. Don't replicate it because it doesn't have the same stakes. She's not gonna fall. She's not gonna die. I know that.
Yeah,
it's just stupid.
We have those scenes, right, where they recreate the game, but then you also have the scenes which doesn't give a lot of sense to the film itself. Mm-hmm. And the one I'm aiming at specifically now is a scene where one of the workers of the main villain is pretty much so tired he can't do anything, he's sick. So the villain goes to him and shoots him, which I think is, wow, it's like, okay, this is a villain. Like, he doesn't give a damn. He kills him.
Yeah, I remember that.
The second after he does that, he takes his gun and aims it at Lara Croft for no reason.
Yeah.
And has a staring competition for 10 seconds.
Let's do a staring
and doesn't do anything. He probably shoots and there's no bullets left or something, like some stupid things. But it doesn't add anything. It just creates the villain... It gives the villain a stupid...
Yeah, like he's a bad guy type of thing.
He's supposed to be bad. He would be worse if he just shot the dude and went on with his day. Like, I killed the dude, I don't care.
Yeah, if you do this, I'm gonna kill you as well. But like, he just pointed the gun at Lara and like... And oh man,
ruined the
I know this is something you're gonna mention as well, and I'm gonna let you guys speak, but the music is so generic. It's literally like freesounds.org, epic music, audio jungle.
It's horrendous.
Like he points gun at Lara, it's like bro, shut up, bro. It doesn't like
we don't care at all.
I don't care, bro.
No, I was gonna mention also like the tension. I did not feel any tension, but I did think like if there is any tension in that scene, it's not in how it's shot. It's not how it's performed. It's just sound. It's just the music. If you took away the music, like just mute that scene and you will feel nothing.
Oh, bro, let's go into the tomb and remove all music.
No, the thing is, for me, the music doesn't work either. This is something we discussed by the end of the movie. Usually, these big franchises that have titles that you have to recognize, they have a theme. Budget. They have a theme song. They have like a small tune that you can always recognize. I mean, like you look at
Spider-Man.
Okay, Spider-Man. Or you look at the new series, the what is it called? The Harry Potter. Fantastic Beasts. They still use the Harry Potter theme in the trailers, and it's probably the thing that's actually selling the movies at this point. And the Tomb Raider one is nothing. There's no Lara theme. There's no island theme that I noticed. There's no ship theme. There's no whatever theme.
We promise
it's just
you.
Generic.
You've heard it before.
Yeah, you heard it somewhere. You heard it on like free websites that you can like download for your own project. And I think that's a big crime for a big budget movie, that it doesn't have its own tune. That, for example, when Lara is sad, you have this sad version of her theme and stuff like that. Like, how can you make a big franchise movie and not think about that? Yeah. I think that's a huge mistake and misstep. Yeah. But music itself also is just bad. It just doesn't. It's just like okay, think of tense music. It's that music. There's nothing to it. It's just tense.
Yeah.
But like boring tense doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I never said that the music worked either. I was just saying that if there was tension, it pretty much stemmed from the music.
Yeah, the fact that there is music.
Yeah.
So let's imagine a movie without music and nothing would come from it. I also want to quickly mention the cutting of the movie. In a sense of the cutting is awkward as...
Yeah. No, I was also going to bring this up, like... we mentioned the plane scene.
Yeah.
But before that, they established, there's this guy who's going to hunt her. And then, like, they just jump, like, right after she survived the plane. It just jumps to night, and then she's being attacked immediately.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even notice that. Like, it was daytime when she was in the plane.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's nighttime. And
I reacted to that as well. It's super weird how time flies by, guys.
Time sure is flying.
I mean, we don't have a lot more time to speak about this movie.
We have solid 2 minutes.
Solid 2 minutes. But I wanted to bring up one of my personal pet peeves, which is the father of Lara Croft, right?
Oh, yeah.
That is the whole reason she's going to the island to discover what is my dad hiding, right?
Mm.
So I'm just going to ask you guys straight out, do you think the dad character should be in the movie at all? Because I argue for... he doesn't add anything than support for Laura.
The thing is, you need someone to die, because the whole thing is she sacrificed herself like the queen.
Yeah.
So you need someone to die. It can't be Lara.
It can't be Lara, of course.
It could have been the sidekick, but you don't really have emotional connection to him. So let's just let the father die.
I would have preferred the sidekick, the dude on the boat.
Yeah, if he was dying.
Yeah, if he died instead, because he dropped up halfway. If he stayed as a character we could develop, I probably would have felt more if he died than the father we met.
But I mean, I don't mind the father, but I can see that he was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
To have somebody to talk with Laura in the ending part of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of other things
we can break a minute or two, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
One thing that I do want to praise it a little bit is the idea of going a bit more... of a grounded way in terms of, the tomb, like having it be filled with a lot of myths and beliefs around what it is, and then being met with the reality that it was a bit more complicated than what was originally told. It's not some supernatural power, although it's not all realistic. It's basically just a zombie plague, but...
I mean, the movie itself isn't all realistic.
I know, but...
So excuse.
It's grounded, it's like the Batman type of thing.
Yeah, like, the truth is more grounded, I guess. The reveal.
I can respect for that. And also the fact that the father was included who believed in the myth itself.
Yeah.
But then there was also the scene of him saying myths are grounded in reality, which kind of makes him this character who knew that it wasn't magic. But
bro.
It's weird.
The man who said ancient 3 times.
Bro, he said ancient 3 times. I died because
Yeah.
they're trying to establish this epic lore, and all they can say is ancient city, ancient island, ancient. Bro, come on, just look at the vocabulary. There's probably like 3 more words.
Yeah, you could
instead of ancient.
Yeah,
ancient is so weird.
And also, I wanted to quickly mention, I'm not going to drag this for too long, but I did also see a Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that I think that both Tomb Raider and Lara Croft Tomb Raider are about like on the same level.
Okay. It's not too high.
No.
Would we expect more, realistically?
No, I think that I would say that they're as equally as shitty. But one thing that I will say, and I would much rather rewatch Lara Croft Tomb Raider much earlier than I would with the 2018 Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Because at least the older one is more entertaining. Yeah. But it is so cheesy. Yeah. Like, it is just pure cheddar.
Yeah, I would just like to conclude the whole thing. I would like to also say that I think this movie, the movie's existence is one thing as well, because it did come out in a time where female leads were being more pronounced.
Yeah. And
you can say it's a marketing thing, but I think it's also important to have young girls have to look up to somebody.
Yeah.
They go to the cinema, it's not always the boys who are the strong, whatever, but there's also a female lead.
Yeah.
Which I do respect. Yeah. And they also made her a flawed character in some aspects. And which kind of helped there. But I guess if there is a positive, it could be that, but you can also argue that it's not a positive because it's not a good movie.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna ask before this is basically the wrapping. One sentence about a thing you liked in a movie. So we have some positives. Mats.
I like the performances. I do think Alicia Vikander is actually a good choice for Tomb Raider. Or Lara Croft.
Yeah. The woman for the tomb, bro. We had an actor for that. Faris.
Again, a good performance and not much more. Let me think. You can say it. I'm gonna think a bit more.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say literally the same thing. The actors, I think they are bussin'. They are the things that makes the movie somewhat bearable to watch.
Yeah. There were some shots that were also cool.
Yeah, there were some cool shots.
We shouldn't indulge much more in that. We don't have time.
Yeah. Okay. But overall, it's not a pleasant experience. One good thing, it starts decently for me because I felt like it was setting up things. The problem is they never pay off. but the setting up, I thought if the bike scene had consequences, if the boxing had any it kind of does, but like if it had direct consequences, it would be better for the movie. But I think the setup is okay. Perfectly okay.
Yeah.
I see Lara getting punched, the main character being punched and doing mistakes. That's really good for a movie.
I don't know. I kind of disagree there. I do not like how it sets up.
You don't like the main character being vulnerable?
No, it's not that. It's just like the execution of it.
I don't mind it.
Anyways, we kind of have to wrap up.
Yeah.
And do the next movie, which I recommended. And the movie is Midnight Cowboy. And just as a quick summary of the movie, it's a guy from Texas who really enjoys female companionship. In a sense that he wants to get paid for it. And therefore he moves to New York, where he tries to prostitute catering to females, specifically. And he does that, and he meets a new friend, Rats. And
Ratso Rico.
Ratso Rico.
Rats is not his name at all.
Yeah, we could say Rats Rico. He's famous for both titles in the movie. So he and him are trying to survive while being beaten down by the hostile environment in New York. And that is pretty much a quick explanation of what a movie is. Literally what we see on screen, but I think we all know here there is so much more going under the scenes, or behind the scenes. I'd like to ask Faris first. I pointed at Mats and said Faris. Bro, I didn't mean to do that.
Don't even worry about it.
Mats, first impressions, thoughts?
A lot of it actually reminded me of The Graduate in certain ways. Obviously, with the actor, it was Dustin Hoffman, right?
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman as Rico or Rats.
Yeah, But it wasn't just Dustin Hoffman which made me think of The Graduate, but I really like effective storytelling, especially when it comes to doing it visually, and that's one of the points where it reminded me of The Graduate, because both of those movies do a really good job in visual storytelling. I loved how this movie managed to kind of visualize the feelings, emotions, or, you could even interpret like, these are the future plans of especially during the beach sequence, when his name is Joe, right? Yeah.
Joe.
When Joe is going into the hotel and...
Say it again.
when Joe is going into the hotel and Rico gets these plans in his head of what he's going to do with all of the money. And then you see not only do you see the execution of the plans failing, but you see his dreams, his plans failing.
As well, yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was really, really fun and really effective.
Yeah.
Another place where it also reminded me of The Graduate is also in the music. Yeah.
That's good to hear. Faris.
Yeah, I think this sort of creativity that was portrayed in the movie in its visual department, and also the openness for different sort of interactions where, both of the characters are pretty weird. They talk weirdly, they behave weirdly. I think the openness towards that has definitely closed in the recent years for movies. Or the mainstream at least, and I think it was pretty refreshing to see these movies again, because I saw The Graduate, which is like this, and then this movie as well from this era. But today you're not gonna see you might see a clumsy protagonist, but you're not gonna see something like this, and just the freedom and creativity in the way the visual storytelling works. It can't be parallel to anything today, because it's so open, it's so free. I can just see the director saying, I want to say something, this is how I want to say it, let's experiment with these things, and then they do it and it looks cool. For example, like during one of the intimate scenes, the TV channels keep going, they keep switching. And there's many metaphors you can connect to that. But I just feel like that sort of scene wouldn't happen today. Today you would probably have a raw sex scene, just like intercourse. There you go. But it's much more hidden in this, with this creativity, and it's not just hidden. With its hiddenness, it tells so much more than just rough pleasure or whatever is going on. So that's something I really, really liked about the movie. Like the way it says its things, it's very sort of. It takes advantage of the fact that it's a movie, first and foremost.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. You want to add anything? Why did you suggest this movie?
Yeah, I was going to go on. Why did I suggest the movie? And the reason is, I saw this movie a few years back, and I remember distinctly thinking, wow, this has to be one of my favorite movies of all time. For some reason, it caught on to me, like a flea or something. And then I realized, I want to see this again. Like, why did I like it so much? And recently, basically today, me and Faris saw it again. And I remember the movie has so many qualities, like you said, you don't see today. It's such a tasteful movie about serious topics. Right? Yeah. And even for its time, it's a man prostituting to other men. And I read online that Dustin Hoffman, he thought his career was over on the screening, because in a scene where John Voight is receiving some intimate mouthfuls from another man, people starting to leave the vicinity, like the cinema. They didn't want to see that, right? And I think still today it's quite a lot for normal consumers to take in. But it's such a tasteful way of performing it, with the visuals of an aircraft flying off and a spaceman being stuck alone in space. I think it says a lot.
Yeah. I also wanted to comment that the characters in this movie do actually feel like people. Like, they don't just feel like characters.
Yeah, caricatures.
Yeah.
They don't feel like that.
No. they have their balance of like flaws but also qualities. They have clearly things to say in terms of their background, like with Rico. A scene that I often think about is the shoe shining scene.
Yeah,
Which to me is
it is a humorous scene, but also
it is a humorous scene, but it clearly provokes him to talk about his father and his problems with his father and his problems with how society treated his father.
I think it's funny for him as a character to kind of see. He said that straight before another dude sat down. He said, "I'm not gonna do the back-working labor that my dad did."
Yeah.
Right? And then a police guy comes in and he's willing to clean his shoes. It's free money, right?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the clips in the movie aren't like they are necessary to develop the characters.
Yeah.
Like they don't have a lot of a necessity.
Yeah, I mean, overall, as I said, everything that I said, I stand by. I think the movie is really great in what it's doing. I personally do disagree with certain things that it's constantly showing. I understand that it's a topic and it's a theme, but it's the same issue I had with gore as well. I just feel like we need to value human brain and human boundaries, and I feel like if you expose your brain to certain things, we can do it. We have the freedom to do it, but I don't think it's always a good thing to do it. It's a bit of a something that I sat on for some time and thought about. But yeah, it's just the opinion I hold. I don't think we need to see everything. I think we can leave things to the imagination. We can tell things without directly showing the raw, ugly side of it. And this is because, like, I do come from a country which had a war pretty recently, and these things happen in real life, and I don't want to relive them in a movie as well. And I don't like it when it becomes in a movie. I don't like it when it's an art form, when it's epic and artistic. It's disgusting sometimes. I don't think it should be shown. It can be pointed at, but being shown, for me personally, is not. I don't like it. I would rather not watch that part of the movie. It's something that most people will disagree with, but it's just something I personally stand by.
May I ask which part of the movie you are referring to?
Well, nothing specific, but of course all the sex and rape scenes.
Yeah.
Like specifically showing the nudity of someone's backside and genitalia, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
private organs.
The groin.
Yeah, and all that. I don't think that's something that people need to see in order to understand what's going on.
That is very respectful. Yeah, I respect that. I mean, the movie is not for anyone. I remember.
You mean everyone?
It's everyone. It's not for everyone. But I think, in a storytelling sense, the movie is great. I think they utilize movie to make movie. Think about that for a second. But I was gonna say something else, which I forgot. Anyways, Mats, do you have anything to say?
I don't know. I guess, like, aside from the two main characters, like, there were also a lot of other interesting characters. I did enjoy the moment when he was was to go into this hotel room or apartment room with this really crazy Christian guy, and the way it leads on at first, you're like really uncomfortable because you don't know what he's leading to, and he just like completely opens up to Jesus.
Yeah, it's a 180. You think he's gonna do something.
Wouldn't that also be like religious criticism?
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think the movie has a lot of religious criticism throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, specifically Catholicism, because like priests are kind of unfortunately, the statistics at least state certain things, so I feel like that was the thing that they wanted to say.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. Maybe I'm completely off topic.
I think the movie is very open for interpretation to a lot of things.
Yeah.
To a lot of things. Even the guy at the end, we don't know if he's killed, right? When Joe meets this very kinky dude who likes to be hit. Does it get killed? We don't know. And we're not supposed to know. We're supposed to think for ourselves. Like what we feel and what we think. So I think the openness of the movie kind of lures me in.
I mean, it probably breaks ground, especially because like putting it in its time frame, like when it came out, probably broke ground. In certain aspects, again, I don't necessarily agree that it should be broken. I think there's some ground that can be perfectly fine just laying there. But yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying.
I know that this is the first X-rated movie to actually win the Oscar for Best Picture.
Yeah, Best Director and Best Adaptation from Book.
Yeah.
It's based on a book.
Yeah, it's based on a book.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I do think that's interesting because I believe it was... I could be wrong on this, but I believe 1968 was the year when they introduced the age rating instead of having a code to literally dictate what is acceptable or not in movies.
This movie is minus 357.
And it was hit with an X rating, but at least I think that with the X rating, I think it was allowed to be distributed and shown to people, which is at least progress.
I think it's an important movie for film history.
Yeah, but I just the reason why I brought that up is because it's kind of impressive that already with like such a short time frame with the system, like already this type of movie wins an Oscar for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes you think, if like what other movies did we miss out on because of the code?
Yeah, that's true. That's really thought-provoking, actually.
Yeah.
In a good way. So
because it was introduced during the 30s. It was it ended during the 60s.
Yeah, some fun history for you guys. Yeah.
Right. Anything else you want us to decipher from this movie?
What do you think of the ending? I feel like the ending is one thing that people might have different opinions on.
In terms of the mainstreamity of the movie, which is not aiming to be at all, I'm saying if I was to bring certain people that I know to watch the movie, they probably would hate the ending. Because they expect the good everything's fine ending.
Yeah.
But that doesn't need to mean anything. I'm just saying it probably disappointed a shit ton of people. And also it's a bit I kind of knew it was gonna happen. I never saw the movie before. I just knew it was gonna happen. It just kind of felt like the type of movie that will do that. But even with that in mind, I felt like it was a bit weird that it happened.
Yeah.
I felt like he just sort of died. Of course, he was sick, and he was progressively getting sicker, but it was so undefined. He never coughed out blood. It was never serious, and at one point he just stopped living. And I was trying to see, like, what is that disease?
Yeah, I to answer that question, because I do have the answer, I looked it up on Google. The author states that the disease that Rico is suffering from is polio.
Okay.
Which is apparently uncurable. And that's why he died. But we have no idea. I also read that someone thought he was a closet man, like he lived in the closet, and he had a gay interaction and he got AIDS, and therefore he died.
Okay.
But like people have so many theories and they don't know.
Well, I guess it's the book that had the answer.
Yeah, the book doesn't have an answer, I think.
Oh, it doesn't mention it?
No, I think they just mentioned that Rico is just a guy who limps everywhere and coughs. Yeah. So it's something else. But I also want to discuss the thing about being a cowboy, because I thought it was... he called himself John Wayne throughout the movie, for example. And I just thought of define cowboy, like in the modern era. What is a cowboy? And he did a lot of things to save his friend. He did potentially murder a guy to save his friend, which in the end died anyways. Like, what is a cowboy in modern society?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Because they also did it visually. They put a hat on him and fancy clothing. And
yeah, they literally made him a cowboy, which he threw out at the end of the movie.
He did, which is also interesting on why.
I think that's a little symbolism.
The thing is, I saw the movie like 2 hours ago, so it hasn't sat on me enough.
Yeah.
To think of those things, but yeah, it is a lot of.
I never actually thought about that, but if you're looking for symbolism with cowboys, one thing that I know plays into it is the color of the cowboy hat. The question if it's white or black.
I think it's black throughout the movie.
Because if so, it's a very simple symbolism to determine or to visualize who the bad guy or the antagonist is and who the protagonist is.
That is true. That is true.
Doesn't it go from white to black? It starts white and then goes to black. Later he buys a new one.
That could be. I don't remember. Yeah, it starts with white. Yeah, he's on the bus and he has a white hat.
Yeah, that's what I remember. And then he buys a black one.
Yeah. But I think the thing that is New York, I think it's literally a place for Joe to kind of meet his demons, right? And kind of face them, because he has a lot of traumas from his past, which still it's quite undefined.
Yeah, the whole
we understand.
anything.
It's something about his girlfriend and him getting something with his grandmother.
That was also really weird.
That was probably something religious related, I would guess. But we probably would have known if we seen the movie a couple more times.
Yeah, he does wear the black cowboy hat.
Yeah, he does. But me and him were speculating if he was wearing a white one when he was in Texas.
Like at the start.
And then progressively gained the black
Because
hat.
I remember him buying a new hat. I just don't remember if he changed the color then or not.
I mean, yeah, that is true. I have no clue. Yeah. But he is a bad guy. The main character is a bad guy, right? Because he hurt someone to save his friend, which isn't heroic. But he also decides to sacrifice his body a lot to try and save his friend.
I think it's hard to... I was considering this earlier, like, this movie doesn't have a conventional villain.
No.
And maybe the city is the villain, if you were to look at it like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have a conventional villain. I definitely think this is not the type of movie you can say bad, good guy. It's a very sort of morally deaf movie.
Yeah.
It just sort of presents reality and then what do you make of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the main character is put in a position where he can't always be moral.
Yeah. He wants to be. Like he said, when he finally got money, he bought a lot of things for Rico. Because he said, now we don't have to steal anymore. He doesn't want to steal. Like, that for him is wrong.
Yeah, or the watch scene where he stole the watch and he gave it back.
Yeah, he can't.
He didn't destroy the watch or, like, slap the guy or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's not, like... But yeah, I think that's an interesting point. This is something me and you, Robin, discussed privately. But it's about moralizing things and seeing people doing wrong things and saying, oh, I would never, ever do that. But, like, have you ever been in a situation where you could do that? And chances are you haven't. And I think this is what happens when you actually are in those situations and, like, what the hell do you do? Like, you can be as good as you think you are. But let's put you in a situation where you have to die for a piece of bread. You have to, like, give your soul away for a piece of bread. What do you do then? And I think this is an interesting dilemma that the movie poses.
Yeah.
And why it's a bit morally deaf in a sense that it doesn't give you the this is right, this is wrong. It's up to you to see. But this is how life usually...
It's very unbiased, really.
It's based.
Yeah, it's based. It's based.
Bro, if you're homeless, just buy a house.
Just buy a house, bro. You don't have money, get some, bro. You get a job. Yeah.
No, but I think unless you guys have any more things to say, I think we could wrap up.
No, I think I'm pretty done with everything generally, but also
but I feel like this movie is just heavy to talk about.
Definitely,
and even see it is a heavy movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, so I'm gonna stop the timer there. So, have you thought about movies for recommendations for next week?
Man, there's many that went through my head, but so far I still haven't decided.
I'm gonna go last because I want to see what you guys are recommending first.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend sometimes in between the two podcasts. I still don't have the movie.
Yeah,
ready.
I mean, I've been thinking of a lot of movies. Not conclusive yet, as of now. But if you wanna just give
spill
us a
the
little
beans, bro.
Sneak peek on what you got in your little brain of yours. I mean, the big brain of yours. Please share.
Bro, I wanted to go last, and yet I'm left here to go first. Because, like, even I've been kind of inconclusive in what I've been wanting, but I'm kind of bouncing between two movies. But you know what? I'm just gonna mention one of them and just let that be it. Breathless by Jean-Luc Godard.
Oh, we're going there.
Yeah.
I wish I could say that, but I have no idea what that is.
It's not a heavy movie.
It's not a heavy, but it's French.
It's French.
Let me pass.
No, it's not too long actually, but it's an important movie.
Bro, I'm gonna suggest a Yugoslavian war movie from the 50s.
And it's
You're more than allowed.
and it was actually a bit of an experimental movie in terms of editing.
All right, that's.
Let me just look up some cheeky stuff before we end.
Some cheeky stuff.
What kind of cheeky stuff?
Man, don't even worry about it. For now. There was this one movie I wanted to see. Yeah, the movie that won Oscar for best female, not female director, but best director.
Yeah.
I wanted to recommend that one. I just forgot I wanted to recommend it. So that is the. Do you remember the name of the movie?
When?
Give me a sec.
Is that your name?
No, wasn't it something with dogs?
Dogs.
Jane Champion.
Oh yeah, Jane. Oh yeah. You're thinking of The Power of the Dog.
The Power of the Dog.
The Dog.
I think that is on Netflix, so we don't have to pay for watching it.
No, the one that I've recommended is on Criterion Channel, so you guys are gonna watch it.
Yeah, we're
with
gonna
me.
have to watch it with you.
Well, or do the. Never mind.
Do the shuffle.
Do the Balkan thing. Acquire the movie. For free.
Nice. Is that it?
That's it.
Bro, let's scream into the microphone
See you
like last
next
week.
week. See you next week.
Alright, bye.
Bye.
That's not the button.